So as promised, this week on Hollywood Hills, we pick up on the second half of Farm Jam round number 4. This week, focusing in on the juniors and the quad event. Kobus, you, the whole family, and Busman Racing, you guys have been supporting Farm Jam all these years. What makes you keep coming back?
We enjoy the event. It's one of the best events out there. It's a bit of everything. It's not just flat out. It's technical. It's dust. It's mud. It's a good event.
Tell me about the developments on Junior down here as well. She's been stepping up, eh?
Yeah, we had her on the PB50 last run out and stepped her up to the Husky this time. So she's getting used to it. It's a big change for her. Big change for her.
Johan, you opened your season with the Farm Jams, back-to-back wins, and then it all started to kind of fall to pieces. What's the story?
I got a lot of problems this year. Problems with the quad. I have to sort it out.
And then today, I see the factory bike wouldn't start, so you're on the wipes, eh?
Yes, I'm back to the stock standard quad. Mine is broken again, and I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do today on the stock Raptor.
So I don't know if you're gonna be able to pull the big hole shot, which means you're gonna have to really work clever today.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat dust today, so must enjoy it.
Russia, another Farm Jam, another dust bowl. It's going to be whole shot racing, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Now you're going to be up. Have to be quick out of the gates to just to clear all the dust. But happy days. It's the 4th one for the year, so looking forward. And shout out to Leon and Melissa from Vans Racing for entertaining our local guys here. We enjoyed it so much.
First gate drops are going to be the morning session with our 65cc Racing Junior Warriors dropping their hammer hard. Even for the 10k junior loop, it was all important to go out and get the cheese, get the whole shot, and race into clear air. The 50cc's, we had a lot of key players there. Meyer and Van der Westhuizen were going to be the ones chasing off the front to try and run the pace. Van der Westhuizen pulling it ahead of Meyer this time around. On this show, we also focus in on the 85 Pro Minis. The guys will be going out and racing the full senior 30-kilometer loop. The man to beat on this gate, as always, Baby Bester, Kobus Bester. Clear air and another whole shot for him. Mostert was going to be his biggest charging battle on the day. At the end of the first loop, Bester was the first to tame the rocks with Mostert alongside, and they were going to have a long, hard and dusty day. The 85 Pro Minis, the only junior category to go out and go through the big rocks. The other 65 and 50cc Bobcats would be able to skirt the outside of that, making it a little bit easier. The senior loop, one of the key features for the 85 Pro Minis, would be the mud box, where we're catching a few guys out. The sweet line was thread the needle straight down the middle. In the junior 65s, it was a big story of Richard Webster hammering the nail. The Kawasaki man charging hard. Nathan Sinclair was going to be his closest rival in second place, but Sinclair was stuck in the dust and starting to make some big mistakes at the end of the laps. Even with that small fallover, he was still strong enough to remain in second place, but the problem was Webster was making no mistakes. But it meant that Marlo Kutzer was starting to close things down. That was the 1, 2 and 3 on the 65s as they headed out for the rest of their 2-hour-long race format. In the 50cc's, Matty Meyer had done a great job on the Youngblood racing machine to get himself out in front, and he was going to be pressured the whole way through the day by Jean-Luc Van der Westhuizen, the kid who had come off a heartbreaking mechanical issue at round number 3. This time around, he just wanted to get himself back on point, back on pace, and back onto the podium. For now, he was sitting in a comfortable number 2 spot. At the flag for the 85cc Pro Minis, the untouchable Baby Bester took it all the way, beating out on Mostert to second place. So Bester, the best in the 85 Pro Minis. It's going to be tough to beat this kid the rest of the season. Andrew Mostert did a good enough job to close things down and keep it safe in the number 2 spot, ahead of Kutzer, Language, Mayberg and Bosch. In In the 65cc's Bobcats, the untouchable Record Webster really showed his class and had one of his best rides of the season to stay ahead of Sinclair. Those guys were the very best of this very important and stacked gate. 65s is such a tough one to beat. Fallon was in the number 3 spot. Katsavis, Vanny Kirk and Vanny Kirk rounded out a very solid top 6 ride. And in the 50cc's, the future of the sport, the baby Bobcats, it was Matthew Mayer on the Youngblood Racing Machine that walked away with the big win, and a resurgent Jean-Luc van der Westhuizen got a number 2 spot to keep him back into podium and championship contention. Our little future racing warriors took their spoils with confirmation of Mayer ahead of van der Westhuizen, Milan, Greef, Lindeque, and little Caitlin De La Rosa rounding out the top 6. With the juniors clear of the gate, it was time to turn our attention to the big bangers and the massive lineup of quads. On the pro gate, Busman absolutely dropped the hammer coming out, and he was going to be the first to see clear air for at least the first 2 laps. Everyone else was going to be sucking dust hard as the rest of the categories made their way through. 424 were very busy in the amateur gate, although a couple of guys went wrong before they went into the forest, and that offered a massive advantage to 1 or 2 tasty riders who got themselves positioned nicely. On the Masters gate, Kurbis Ferreira took the lead and was going to be very hard to beat. Positioned himself absolutely perfectly going out onto the first sector of laps. The weekend warriors were going to be chased down by the ladies. On the ladies' gate, always going to be hard to beat out on a couple of tasties. The 4x4 hookup coming out of the Can-Am of Heidi. She didn't get the gate, but she would definitely be able to plow the field and get herself up there. Busman on loop number 1 was absolutely gone. He would pick up a puncher on lap number 2, but that wouldn't hold him back at all. The man doing the chase down was Mornay Turon, 2nd place for him, but a fueling strategy, big mistake on lap number 2, cost him his chance for podium. It was Louis Ruus that was there to pick up the pieces in 3rd place. Kurbis Ferreira had done himself proud staying out front in the Masters. In fact, he was catching up to some of the slower category racers ahead of him. Jaco Krikke, on a very stock bike, was keeping him company. For the quads, one of the key features on the track was going to be the mud box. Although some made it look very cool, others needed a helping hand. We had good marshals on hand though.
I asked him for a good marshman because I've been marshalling a few farm jams. He asked me, Willie, do I want to marshal? I told him, yeah, but I want a good spot. And I was hoping for a good spot, but looks to me it wasn't the best spot there. The quads, they battled, the water. It was first a little river crossing, the quads messed it up. It became mud and everything, the quads couldn't get through there.
A big high five to Mudman Miguel and all the marshals helping us out on the course. What you do out on the track is all up to you, but sometimes these races can be won or lost in the pits.
Do you think pits is like a big part of the racing as well, and all the support in here from the family?
That's the biggest part. You'll see that my wife doesn't race all the events. When she doesn't race, she runs the pits. And without her, can't.
The best part of the whole day was having my family. When I stopped at the pit crew, my family was there, my small son was there. He enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, my wife enjoyed it.
Everyone enjoyed it, and Louis Ruus was certainly enjoying his battle. He was going back and forth with Tutol in the battle for 2nd place overall. Busman, by this stage, was absolutely gone. The man on the move was Tutol. Jaco Krikke was also in a great position, battling for between a 2nd and 3rd in the Masters class. Stefan Ferreira, who'd had some problems on lap number 1, was starting to come good and climb his way back into podium contention. With Busman absolutely gone off the front, the battle for 2nd place raged on. In the end, Louis just ran out of gas, but he did walk away with the 3rd place finish. It was Tutol that did incredible work on laps 2 and 3 to get himself up into 2nd place, but there was no beating the Busman, who stood on the top steps once again, even with that flat tyre on lap number 2. Ruus in 3rd place ahead of Bester, Talliard and Blicknot. A huge win though for the Busman Jacques Strubing. In the Masters class, it was the affable and unstoppable Cobus Ferreira, who did a great job off the gate to beat out all of the riders that tried to get up onto his back wheel. There was no beating him though. Yanni Meyer was the closest, with Jaco Kruger, J.R. Blichnort and Jaco Pretorius all inside the top 5 at very good times. The ladies quads gave us one of the strongest lineups on the Farm Jam Tour for 2019. Once again, the biggest smile was across the face of Heidi Ferreira. She didn't get the whole shot, but she did put almost 6 minutes into her closest rival. Van der Merwe and LaRue joined her on the 1, 2s and 3s. For the weekend warriors, the big story was JD Pretorius beating out on Corne Kraft and Clayton Puerta, making it inside the top 3 ahead of Zietman, De Beer and Durka. The quad amateurs was almost a 4-2-4 racing lockout, with Wilbur Blanche taking the big win ahead of Jean Dalport and Matt Birch. Peter de Bruin was just ahead of Big Johnny Horsforth, now on the LTR, and Christian Ferreira climbed the ladder to make it just inside the top 6.
We used to buy parts from Vans in Middelburg, so that's where we actually heard about it and joined the Facebook group and everything. So that's how we, and it was very lekker, man. It was fantastic, a new experience.
And that concludes our footage of all the classes racing at Farm Jam round number 4. We hope you liked it, because we're going to be back for sure. Well, I'm still buzzing from show number 1. So that was show number 2, Farm Jam, round number 4 in the can now. This is what we're going to be bringing you guys for the Farm Jam show and a couple of other selected shows as well. But let's focus in on what's going down from here on out. So we said last week we were going to introduce you to one of our key teams and one of our main sponsors for the last pretty much a year now for the running of Hollywood Hills. So welcome to the introduction of Racing Team 424. So the first dude up is the main man himself, Big John Horsforth. He's a quad racer by heart, been racing quads since 2015. Now he's made the big move from the DS650 onto the LTR 450, and he is going to be rocking and rolling at the Farm Jam's GXCCs, and of course, looking after a couple of selected 424 and charity events. We've also got Wilbur Blanche. He came off a great run at the amateur quads at this past weekend's Farm Jam. And he's a guy that's going to be hitting up the GXCCs in 2020. Watch for him to be a threat. I think he's going to be lining up in the Q2 category. Emil van der Merwe also started riding from the Damien days, or the Ride for Damien days. Now he's going to be a hard hitter at the Farm Jams and the 424s. He's a podium runner for sure. Paul Horsforth, our little kid out there, 10 years old, riding since he was 5. He's a quad racer by heart. He's been on the bike for a year, and he's getting himself dialed in, using Farm Jam and other events to get himself ready for the 2020 GXCC lineup. And then you've got the Leslie brothers. Dwayne Leslie, he's running in the 200cc class, and he's been on 424 since March 2019. Old machinery, but definitely a tasty rider. Once he gets a new bike, and that is in the offing, I think we're going to see him run top 3s at every single event going forward. And then his younger brother, Jason Leslie, on the 85s. A hard charger, out with a broken collarbone. We're going to see him in action probably late on in the season, but right now he's going to be sending out the healing vibes, and he is definitely a kid to watch out for as podium threats. And then rounding out the Leslie clan, Nelson, or we call him Second Hand. That's what he's known as. He really rounds out the big lineup for the Leslie crowd. He's the dad, cool vibe, always out there looking after his kids, and he thinks, well, might as well go racing as well. He's a weekend warrior. He's a beginner to the category, but it's so cool to see him out there racing with us. Janneman Besadenhout, riding for 424 since the Ride for Damien days in 2017, and a huge threat. This is a guy that's podiumed at GXCCs on the ultra-competitive Q2 gate, and we're going to watch out to see some massive numbers coming in from him in 2020. And then Peter de Bruin, first time out racing with us this past weekend on Farm Jam, and the first time in the 424 colors. Racing in the amateur class, and he's definitely a guy to watch out for. He's going to be hitting up all the Farm Jams and the 424s. And let's not discount the people that make it happen behind the scenes as well. Obviously, Jono's out there as the main man, but he's got his wife, Lise, and the kids with massive support. Sam down in the pits doing all the running, making sure everything looks good in the pits while the guys are out there swinging their legs over the bikes and quads, and obviously all the backup team. And big thanks to their sponsors, which are at Riders Motorcycles in Middelburg, HMI Line Boring and Fabrication in Middelburg, and Portable Shade. And talking of 424 as well, something new just came down the pipe in this past week. Jono has been putting himself out there as the 424 guy running the Cross Country Championship Tour. They got 3 rounds in, and then since then he's been focusing in on a couple of charity projects. The next one is coming down the pipe. It's going to be a Bronco Sprite event on the 9th of November, and he is going to be putting together all the promotion package on that over the next week. So watch out for that. But for now, mark your calendars. 9th of November, Bronco Sprite, a very cool event coming down, run by Team 424. So watch out for that. Also, while we're talking about the events, just a reminder of what's coming down the pipe. This coming weekend is going to be Volvokloof once again, and that is another charity event, and that's Casper Petersen who's going to be behind that one. It's going to be an enduro or a 4x4 car entry, so make sure you guys get down there, and all money will be going to charity, of course. Then, of course, we start talking about the next round of the GXCCs. This is round 7 of 8, and it's Rodium. So make sure you guys get your entries in there as well. It's going to be fun to see how this championship unfolds. So that is coming down the pipe. Then straight after that, I cross the borders to the Retro Roof. Liv Lesotho picking up the can there. They've been running a couple of events already this year, and Sharon Moore behind the helm, and all the Liv Lesotho guys make sure that this is going to be an absolute killer. So if you've got a bucky, quad, side-by-side motorbike, a trike, a unicycle, whatever it is, we want to see you across the border there at the Retro Roof. It's going to be a cool, old-school style event. And then we round out the racing month of September on the 28th with Farm Jam number 5. This also marks the penultimate round of their championship. So it's a busy month, and once again, we really hope you guys enjoyed the last 2 shows, courtesy of Farm Jam and, of course, Vans Racing, and that helped us get our next step of Hollywood Hills development up and running. For now, we're going to sign off with that. So next week, we're going to be reviewing the GXCC round and get ourselves ready for the rest of the racing month of September. Guys, keep riding. There's still plenty of racing and riding and fun to be had in the 2019 season. Cheers.